Good evening, my name is Venessia Ravelo and I will be presenting my research project. My research project consisted of the effects of guided reading strategies on reading comprehension for students with learning disabilities. The purpose of my study was to discover whether the use of guided reading aids students in the development of reading comprehension for students with learning disabilities. The point of guided reading is not to teach a certain passage or article, but to teach students different reading strategies to aid them. Students with disabilities often struggle with reading in general, therefore, the use of these strategies can help them succeed. My research question was, what is the effect of guided reading using an interactive notebook on the development of reading comprehension for students with a learning disability? So the interactive notebook was one of the reading strategies that I was implementing within the intervention to aid them in the comprehension of their passages. My literature review consisted of many different studies, but all concluded to one focus, obviously reading. Guided reading is an instructional approach that involves a teacher working with a small group of students who demonstrate similar reading behaviors and can all read similar levels of text. The text is easy enough for students to read with the teacher's skillful support. The text offers challenges and opportunities for problem solving, but is easy enough for students to read with some fluency. The teacher chooses selections that help students expand their practice. So the point was for them to practice with different passages that were simple enough for them to understand and then gradually bump up the difficulty of the passage after showing them some strategies. The strategies were also combined with the 4E strategy, and it was helpful for the students because the teacher was there to correct and aid as the students were going through the passages. The method that was used is as follows. The study was conducted with 3 fourth grade students who struggle with reading comprehension. These students were observed and analyzed throughout the study while being exposed to different guided reading and reading comprehension material. The study was conducted as a teacher-led center where the teacher is teaching students guided reading strategies to improve their reading skills. The guided reading strategies that were introduced and remediated are as follows. The interactive notebook, as I mentioned earlier, worksheets, recorded responses, and I also recorded data to show the students' progress. In the data section, you see 3 different tables. The first table was all of the data that was collected before the intervention. I wanted to see what level my students were on so that I could properly pool material for them. The second table down here in the bottom was after the implementation of the intervention. So I went ahead and I tested them before and then I tested them after the intervention. This graph over here is just the same information displayed differently. So the results of this research supported previous research in the fact that guided reading strategies slightly increased the students' ability to decipher reading comprehension questions. Implementing the manipulatives and strategies using teacher-led instruction allowed the students to identify what was needed to answer the reading comprehension question. The students, in turn, learned how to answer difficult questions while using context clues, foreshadowing, and evidence. They annotated the story as they were reading and found interest in reading with the Lego activities. Although there was not a major improvement, the students' feelings on reading changed and they are more understanding of strategies they can use to aid them in comprehending a passage. Some limitations and implications that I would suggest and faced. Some limitations referred to the study consisted of normal distractions, the everyday bell ringing, the everyday you're going home, or the everyday I need this student for this testing, so on and so forth. The educational gap was definitely a biggie because of the fact that some students didn't fully understand what author's purpose was, and they were in the 4th grade. They should know all forms of author's purpose by the 4th grade. And also a disinterest with the material was also a problem because since the students didn't like what they were reading, there was no motivation and it was more difficult to understand the questions. Moving forward, the students should have opportunities to annotate their reading and guiding questions to check for understanding. In regards to further research, the researchers should have a more differentiated sample size where not all of the learners are on the lower level but on different levels. All of my learners were very, very low. That's why the data didn't really move around a lot. This will aid in the ability to view, increase in understanding of concepts. Like I just said, the data didn't really move, so I feel that if I had different readers on different levels, maybe the data would have moved a little bit more. And then below in this section right here, you can check out the references that I used for the entire project. Thank you.